Real Estate Appraisal Commission as of November 13th, 2024. The first thing that we have on here to go over is the review of the minutes of October 9th of 2024. Are there any edits, corrections, changes, suggestions, and so forth by members of the commission? I have one, and it says that commissioner's not present. I was not present in the first hour and a half. I got on at around 10 o'clock when the hearings were commencing, so I was part of that. If that could be duly noted. I don't know how it's done. I wasn't there, but I was there, like Casper the Ghost, I guess. So, any other additions?
Yeah, I have one, Chair. I'm not sure if it's right or I'm right or wrong, but under old business where it says Dan Booth, since I was chairing the meeting at that time, when they took the vote, am I still considered abstained, or I just don't vote, right? Because the chairman only votes.
You only on the event of a tie, John, to break a tie.
So am I officially abstained from that vote, or is that a typo?
I think in the past that's been just noticed, and I don't ever recall seeing other ones where it's been put my name as abstained. Okay, so I think we could extract that, correct? Okay, because you were the chairman. Okay, that's two. Any other edits or corrections? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as revised?
I'll make that motion.
That is Jen has made that motion. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
And we have Shauna on the second. Discussion? Hearing none, vote ayes.
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? And abstentions, so we are good there. We pass. Okay. We have old business here. And before we get into old business, I just want to make a quick little statement. I apologize for missing the first half of last month's meetings. For those who are aware, there were some real reasons of why I was and what have you, and I'm here today. And I understand there was a little excitement, for lack of a better phrase, and we're going to, this meeting and all others, we're just going to try to make sure, hey, we will show courtesy and civility and so forth as we move through. So let's everyone will get their time to speak, but there are certain things that we've got to follow in protocols, and we will do so. So I think that's enough to be said on that. So under all business, is Mr. Booth here today?
No, Mr. Booth is has requested to be moved to December. He had to be called away for a family emergency and couldn't fulfill the request of the sample. So he'll be on our December agenda. And then also, while I have your attention on this one, Roxanne Belter Lee, she and her supervisor will be on the January agenda for similar reasons.
Very good. Thank you. All right. So that was under the new business for all members who are looking at the agenda. So old business number 1 has been moved to December. New business number 1 has been moved to January. Very good. Keeping with old business, we'll go into number 2, discussion of the 2026 AQB criteria. There are 2 components in here. Approve of the 2026 AP criteria, 1, and B, discussion the new course valuation bias and fair housing becomes mandatory on January 1 of 2026 and will be required for the CE deadline on January 31st, 2026. So let's move to A first. Approval or approve of the 2026 AQB criteria. What I am going to do here is I will open this up for commissioners to discuss. Then I'm going to open it up to staff to discuss, and then I'll open up to the general public. So we're going to go like an ABC. Okay. So I open it to our members of the commission. Any thoughts, concerns, positives, whatever on discussion on the do we approve and so forth. I see everyone's got their mute on, with the exception of Shauna. So if you were talking, I'm not going to hear you. So, okay, hearing none, I'll open it up to the staff. Any comments or thoughts or concerns?
Well, the reason I think it's important to get this approved and on the books, in the record, so to speak, is because the requirement is listed, the requirement of that new course is listed in the 2026 AQB. It's not listed in the current one we follow, which is 2018. So I feel that should anybody, pull up our regs or look at the AQB that we're following, it's not in there, so maybe they won't take it, and that'll mess them up, when it comes to the CE, which is due on January 31st. So this course becomes mandatory, as you said, on January 1st of 2026, and we technically will only have a month, to get everybody to take that course, unless the schools have it prepared, I'm hoping, ahead of time.
Okay. Before I say anything, Debbie, I want to say thank you for getting on here and giving a very important perspective here. Anything from anyone who wants to say anything by the general public? I don't see any hands raised. And Rachel, if I miss hands being said, please feel free to step in and give me a tap on the back of the head here to open up a little bit. Okay. So, all right. Here's my two things that you just brought up here, if I may, Debbie. One, are you trying to say we have to formally approve this? Is that will that give a comfort level? Therefore, we are in conformance. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, and I'd also like to clarify, this
Mhm.
doesn't add to the requirement of our current 28 hours. It's
Right.
just making sure that our appraisers, our licensees are aware that this is a third mandatory course.
Okay. And for all those who may be listening, this is across the country. Every state and territory and everything in the U.S. who has appraisal commissions or boards or whatever they may want to call them are all dealing with the same thing. So we're all gonna, we all have to deal with it here. So, do you need a motion for approval so therefore we are in conformance with the Connecticut laws, Debbie and Vicky, as a board, so therefore there's no issues? Is that what we're trying to clarify as the first step to deal with under this
Yes,
situation?
yes.
Very good. Okay.
A formal motion, yes, would be required.
Thank you. Okay. Any points of discussion? Again, I open up any members of the commission. You've heard what I've heard. Go ahead, John.
I just got one. We can go ahead, as Deb says, I just want to clarify, if we approve that we're going to start complying with the 2026 AQB criteria, we're not changing anything that is on. So we don't have to vote about any changes. Nothing changes in our regs or anything like that. Correct. And then the second thing I just want to talk about, so if we approve this, then we have to decide whether we're going to add another hour or 2 hours or whatever to our requirements, et cetera. That's a separate issue, correct?
That is right.
Yeah.
Okay. My quick take on this, folks, is the rest of the country is going with it. We have really no choice. Okay. This is the law of the land that's come through. So this is almost a procedural thing that Debbie has brought to us, to make sure it's covered. That's my take, for lack of a better phrase. Okay. So, that being
I'll make the
said,
motion that we approve the AQB 2026
thank,
criteria.
thank you, Shauna. Shauna has made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I got a raised hand by Jen. I can see once in a while. Okay, there we go. Discussion. Hearing none. We'll vote ayes,
Aye.
nays, abstentions. Okay, so that is on the books and going to staff. Debbie and Vicky, this satisfies those areas that we had to address on this specific matter,
On
correct?
this
Yes.
specific matter, correct.
Very good. Thank you. Now we move to B and the discussion of the new course of the fair housing and bias as it does become mandatory in 2026, required for CE deadline January 31st, 2026. John, I think this starts to go into your second point you were making a moment ago. So this may be the time for you to go off mute and, expand upon what you were starting to go down. Okay.
All right, since I'm a foot down that path, I might as well keep walking, right? So my thought on this is that we kind of kick it not too far down the street, but to January and see if I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but ask Deb if she can just survey some of the schools to see if anybody's actually coming out with a course and then how many hours and stuff they are before we decide. Because I don't think I know we used to have a fair housing class. I'm not sure if the state did it or what for we did many years ago. I don't know if it's appropriate that we actually take the time to write this, or we have to include it in our law module and add another hour or whatever. And that's where I'm just confused on what that is, because I don't know what really our options are. Is what I'm trying to take a lot of steps to get to here.
Yeah, John, can I just jump in here and others,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to dominate here. I've now taken that course through McKissick for 5 different states. Okay, so it's New York, Minnesota, Virginia, California, and I'll be darned. I know I have 5, and it just doesn't come to the top of the head right now. And it has been written by McKissick. They've run it, and the last 2, 3, 4 slides of that identical course is the only things that are different that would pertain to if there's any nuances of the Minnesota law or the Virginia law, that type of thing. So it isn't something I believe we would be writing. And I'm just talking on the McKissick side of the fence that I've taken for running. Wouldn't be surprised if the Appraisal Institute has some of theirs out, but when I had to take these in the beginning of this calendar year, that was my option at that time. So I just wanted to let you know from someone who's taken this course that where we're going. The second thing I want to say is how, as many of these states are, it's for 7 hours, this class here. And the second component is my understanding, and I may be in error, that now once you've done it once in the 7, when you do the follow-up, it's like 3 hours in every 2 years after that cycle. So if I'm in an error on that, on the latter portion, feel free someone to step in and correct me.
Once you take the course the first time, which would be 7 hours, or 7 hours with a 1 hour test for the qualifying education, then every 2 years after that, it would be a condensed course of 4 hours
4 hours.
for
Okay.
as long
Thank
as you hold your license. John, I'm going to send the commissioners a copy of the AQB criteria, the 2026, so you don't have to go searching for it. But the criteria of that course, the 7-hour course, is listed on page 6 of that document. So look for that in a second.
All right, so then it sounds to me like we really should have a C here, because I think it's kind of a no-brainer that we just approve that we have to take the class as part of our continuing education. education credits. Then the third part would be, how do we divvy up those hours? How do we deal with those hours? Do we add them to our existing 28 hours? Do we include them the first time or what? And I think that's the part we need to think through, especially after a couple of public comments last meeting about those hours, and the fact that we're going into a kind of a slowdown in the market, especially on the residential side. It might be, you know, just being conscientious of putting extra pressure on people financially. So can we break that down, Jerry, into three? So, I make a motion that we we require the valuation bias and fair housing to become part of our mandatory, to become a mandatory class in Connecticut. But that we,
Then we'll make that, John, why don't we do that first and
Okay.
then go to your second portion, okay? So you've made a motion on the table that
the
the
requirements of
valuation
the
bias and
valuation.
fair housing class be a mandatory requirement as part of our continuing education cycle. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, so yes.
Okay. Do I hear a second on the motion on the floor?
Second.
Shauna has seconded. Now discussion.
So we
Any
can
thoughts
decide,
amongst commission members? Go ahead.
we can decide later, because if it's 7 hours the first time and then 4 hours
Yes.
ongoing, we can decide how that fits into everything later.
I believe so. But we can have that's almost C or D, John, on this. This goes layer by layer of where you're going with it here. So we have any comments from other members of the commission? Comments or thoughts by members of staff? Comments or thoughts by anyone of the open public? Hearing none, then I will call the motion to a vote of making the valuation bias and fair housing part of the mandatory continuing education that we are to appraisers are to take. Ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
nays, abstentions. So that takes care of that portion. Now, John, you had another comment or the next layer, so to speak, on this matter.
Well, the next layer is, how do we count those hours? I mean, if it's 7 hours and 4 hours, and that we grant, I think, and then I think the question comes up too is, which is a totally separate issue. I'm taking a side tangent. 8 years into this, if someone wants to refresh themselves and take the 7 hours as opposed to the 4 hours, is it like use PAP, or does that count for the update, et cetera? And but I think we should think about this, how we're going to include it as that first 7 hours is going to be part of our existing 28 hours, or if it's going to be another 7 hours added on top for a total of what, 35, right? 35 hours. I don't know. That's something I think we need to discuss. I'm not leaning either way on that.
Questions on the floor, members of the commission. Any thoughts that you'd like to share?
So I guess if you going forward, we have 28 hours in our current cycle, and then we would have 14 hours required. Which ones? And then that would leave 14, which kind of works out. Most classes are 7. So that would be 2 7s or 4 3.5s. So that kind of works going, after the first time. So I don't really see an issue with that. You have to take other classes. That's just my thoughts. As far as the first year, I don't know. Do we up it by 3 just because? I don't know. Because now it's be 11 hours elective instead of 14.
Okay. Maria, Jen, Norris? Hearing nothing? Okay, everyone, you're all on mute. If you were saying something, okay. John?
Yeah, I don't think we actually have to make a decision on this right away. I think in terms of increasing the hours, because in essence, the class is going to be new for most people in Connecticut. So, the idea is continuing education is to take the mandatory law and the use PAP, right? And then go ahead and take, electives of what you want. So I think for this first round, I think we can I'm just saying this as an option, speaking out loud here, is to keep it at 28 hours. And then after, we can readdress it for the next, at the beginning of the next cycle to determine if, what happens going forward. After we're all familiar with the class, after we've all taken it and passed it, and and then we'll have a little bit more knowledge of what's in that material to decide, because it may be there might be some stuff covered in that class that overlaps some of our stuff that's I doubt it, but it may be our law module. So maybe we can cut down the law module, just whatever. So there might be some stuff there. So I think for now, I think we can say that my suggestion is to say that we include the 7 hours as part of our existing 28 hours for this cycle, and that we readdress it, next February or in 2026, February 2026 or something for the next
Okay.
cycle.
Any other thoughts with members of the commission?
I would think it would be interesting to hear from, our public members, because they're not required to take it. So I would be interested in their opinions
Mhm.
on that.
Yeah, we will, Sean, in a minute. I wanted to make sure
No,
members
I
of the
meant
commission.
people on the commission. We have
Yeah.
3 public members
Okay.
are not required to take it. So I wonder what their feelings are if we include it as part of the 28.
The floor is open, Maria, Jen, or Norris, if you want to make any thoughts known.
I just happened to see, what was that, Jackie, an exam after? Is Jackie there?
She's here.
I noticed something about an exam after the 7 hour.
That is when you go through it depending on the state, because I've gone through these
Okay.
here, that one had it, the others did not. I'll
Okay.
just say that.
I was just wondering
Yeah.
how it was here.
Yeah.
Can I clarify that,
Hang on a
please?
moment,
Yes.
please. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Okay. Maria, Jen, any thoughts or not at this point? Okay, you're both on mute.
Not yet. I'm curious to hear
Okay.
Debbie's clarification.
Okay. Maria? Okay. Okay. Debbie, the floor is yours.
Okay, so my conversations with the individuals at TAF, they said that this course is required for both QE and CE. It's the same exact course. If the person takes the test, which they're required to for QE, then the additional hour would be counted. So it would be an 8-hour course certificate for them. If they decide to take the exam as part of CE, that would also be included in their certificate. It would be 8 hours. If they don't take the exam, they're not required to take the exam for CE, then it would only be 7 hours.
Thanks
So-
for the clarification.
So if someone were to make a motion that, would this motion be appropriate then? That we, for the next cycle, that we include the hours of the evaluation bias and fair housing course within the 28 hours, allowing the continuing education to students to either take the exam or not. Would that be appropriate? Because QE, they got to take the exam no matter what, so that's not an
Yeah.
issue, right?
I don't think you
For-
need it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always been an option for any class, John.
I
You
know, but my
you can
thing
take,
is,
or
I
take
don't
the exam
want,
for the other hour, you know?
I think we need to qualify that, because some people are going to take that and count that as 8 hours. So we need to say now that we're going to accept it if they take the test and pass it, and some aren't. So I think we
So
need
for
to address
continuing
that.
ed, it's 7 hours, and if you elect to take the test, it's 8 hours. You want a motion to just confirm that?
No, is that appropriate, Deb? That's what the,
Well, I feel that the schools who are offering these courses would note the number of hours on the certificate based on if the student takes the test or not.
That's
right,
correct.
so whatever they
So,
take, I think should count.
right.
Yes, it's just like any other course that we
Okay.
have, you know. Those who have already qualified and may go back and take principal's class, for example. And if they don't take the exam, they'll get their 30 hours. If they do take the exam, whatever the hours are for the examination, or the 50, the 14 hours, or they'll get the 15th hour, like we've done on other things. So, all right. Uh, to the general public, any thoughts on here?
Mr. Chair, this is Scott DiBiasio with the Appraisal Institute, if I may.
Yes, please. Good
Great,
morning.
thank you very much. The only clarification I wanted to make was that if somebody takes the course online, then there is an exam required for online CE. So I just wanted to mention that. And there are courses that are available out there right now. None of them, the content of those courses does not currently satisfy the AQB requirements. So providers, including the Appraisal Institute, are having to retool our courses so that they meet the AQB requirements. We have a 5-hour course right now on fair housing and valuation bias, but it doesn't meet the AQB requirements. So if somebody took that, let's say on January 1st of 2026, it would not qualify because it doesn't contain the required content. So we're reworking that course as we speak right now. It'll be available long before the January 1st, 2026 implementation date. And I don't know what your feeling is, but if somebody were to take that course prior to January 1st of 2026, I would think that it would qualify for the requirement afterwards, since you only have that month between January 1st and January 31st. So I don't know how you feel about that, but there will be plenty of courses available in the marketplace to satisfy this requirement.
Thank you very much, Scott. I'm for one that believes when these things are acceptable, and meet the criteria, whenever they take them, we count them. Okay, because instead of worrying about that 30 days or 31 days, if they happen to take it next September, October, November, good for them. Okay, they've been on the ball trying to get ahead of it here. And I don't want to penalize anyone. I guess I'm very sensitive to that when I have to take the use PAP, because certain states, and I won't name them here, will just say, no, they have to be in the even year, even though you end on the 31st, you only have that small window. And I mean weeks that I'm dealing with on one in specific, where the same doggone class is given 3 weeks before, but it's in December, and they're not counting it. I just think that is, I'll be real blunt, nonsense, and common sense would say we accept it. And that's my 10 cents. Others on the commission may have a different opinion, but I just wanted to lay that out there.
I agree with you, Jerry. When you're, as long as you're in the same cycle, I mean.
Yes,
you take these,
exactly,
right?
Shauna. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're in the same cycle, I have no problem with that.
Right, so we can get down to and just make a motion can I make a motion that we accept the valuation bias? We require the valuation bias and fair housing course to be part of a mandatory course as part of our continuing education cycle.
That's
We already
fine.
did-
I thought we did that the previous
we
motion,
did that.
John.
Oh, no, okay, then
Be part of the 28 hours.
be part of the 28 hours, yes.
Okay, you got the 28 hours. Okay,
Yeah.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Colin? Okay, Norris is second. Discussion. Hearing no discussion. Ayes,
Aye.
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 nays, abstentions. Very good. I think we've discussed at this point everything for the 2026 AQB criteria on the valuation bias and fair housing. Debbie, Vicky, is there anything we've left untied for now on this matter?
I do not believe that there's anything untied in this matter at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. You two, thank you very much for keeping us on the straight and narrow to not let this get kicked down the road. So now at least people are aware of it. Yes, I know in 14 months, we're going to hear people say we weren't aware of this or that. That just goes with the territory, but we will make it our obligation to get out to everybody that in the marketplace that this is the new way of the world, so to speak. And it doesn't matter what state we're in. So very good. Okay, on old business, we go to number 3. Sarah Parenti, an RCR applicant. Is Ms. Parenti, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am.
Good morning. Very good. Good morning. Is your sponsor here with you this morning as well?
I have 2. One of them's in the room with me. The other one is here somewhere. The other Shauna.
Okay. All right. Very good. I'm going to start with you, Ms. Parenti. I need you to give your name, spelling of your last name, and your business address. And when you complete that, the same will be asked of your 2 sponsors, please.
My name is Sarah Parenti, Parenti. I use my home address. It's 42 Mansfield Street, Bethel, Connecticut, 06801.
Very good. Thank you. Now you're one of your sponsors.
Yeah, Fred Miller, Miller, 98 Picketridge Road, Reading, Picketts, Ridge, Ridge Road.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And you said there was a third one, Ms. Parente?
Yeah, Shauna Bedard. It's Bedard. And I'm at 16 Winding Brook Lane in Reading, 06896.
Thank you very much to all 3 of you. Okay, I'm going to turn this over. So to give us background, Debbie, can you give a level set for the commission members where we're at, and then we can move forward. Thank you.
I'm not really sure I'm having a brain freeze. What are you asking me?
What do we need here for this applicant? This right here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay. Well, Sarah has sent in her sample selection, which I emailed to the commission. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong page. I'm sorry. My brain's freezing today. I emailed it to you guys on October 16th at 10:06. So it's just a review of her sample and an approval of the experience log because she had to do some tweaks there and see if she's okay to take the PSI test.
Very good. Debbie, you have gone through the log and meets the minimum criteria. Are there any red flags or issues from staff's point of view?
No.
Okay.
I didn't review the reports. I just
No, I understand. We have a log.
Tallied,
I just on a
I
just want to
tallied
be in
all
the
the
log
hours
right
to make sure
Good.
the hours were correct, and she's good to go as far as that aspect.
To members of the commission, can I entertain a motion to accept the log by Ms. Parente?
I'll make a motion to accept the log.
Okay, Shauna has made a motion to accept the log. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Jen's hand was up, although Nora's your voice muted, but I'm going to give it to Jen this time on visual, okay? So Jen, you are the second. Discussion amongst members of the commission on the log. Hearing none and staff saying no red flags, can I get a motion? Excuse me, we're going to vote on this then. Ayes,
Aye.
nays, abstentions. So good. The log has passed. Okay. Now we go into the second phase here for Ms. Parente. We have to make some selections of work product that, Ms. Parente, once these are, you will hear which ones those are. Debbie will let you also follow up, and just so you may have a list and say, I know it's a nervous time, you may have forgotten one or whatever the case may be. So those will then, you will submit those and that will go under review. So I open it up to members of the commission. Are there any specific properties that you would like for Ms. Parente to submit for review?
We've already done that, Jerry.
Oh, is that right?
We already have them.
Oh, you do? Okay, then my bad. All right, then let's go. So we have questions here. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
know.
so
I certainly can go first if you'd like.
feel free.
So good morning,
Morning.
Ms. Parente. I did review 3 of your samples. Generally, I didn't find many issues, but I do have a few questions. And I guess the overall theme overall is some comp selection. So, but let's start with 8 Steck Drive. And let me know when you have that report.
I do.
So on the grid at the very top, you said there are no comparable sales. And then in the neighborhood, and then you give me a range of a value. Is that just a typo?
I'm sorry, that says there's no comparable listings. So at
No comparable sales. Okay, so that makes more sense. But how do you get the range then?
the range for that, I started at a broader range, just generally similar smaller ranches in the area, and most of them were concentrated in this lower 200s to mid 300 range, and that's how I gathered that for.
You see where the confusion for me is, that you're saying there's no sales, but you're giving me a range.
Well, there were sales. There just weren't any active listings.
Well, no, I mean listings. I'm sorry, listings.
Yes. There just haven't been a lot of listings in the area. The inventory is a little bit limited, as most of you may know, with the market kind of being what it is. Not always finding comparable listings that are within the boundaries, especially when it comes to Newtown, just based on how large it is in general in this specific area. I hadn't come up with any, so.
Okay. My next question is on comp 2 is a cape. You have a ranch. Did you think about looking at raised ranches or other ranches? Why did you use this particular cape?
Comp 2. I did consider. What did I see in this? Typically, my consideration, especially when there's a lower bit of inventory, as you can see, I only discovered 6 sales. More of my focus was on the bedroom count. I would have also considered raised ranches, but for the purpose of lender requirements, as you can see, I selected Comp 2 because of its close proximity and the overall size and the age to support the subject for the lender requirements. I would have considered raised ranches if there had been any available, but I'm not. As again, I'm not really seeing that there were a lot in this particular section of Newtown at the time.
And so that does lead me to you have 2 comps outside the range. You do say that it exceeds the adjustments. But what about 5 Winslow Road? Why didn't you choose that one?
5 Winslow Road.
Yeah, is that in your work file?
I do not have that in my work file.
I mean, it's a ranch. It's in somewhat of the same general neighborhood, and it's 1,479 square feet. So I was just wondering why that one wasn't chosen.
Would you let me look at it, or as I said, I don't have it in my work file. I may have reviewed it at one point and discarded it after verifying with town records, but again, I don't have it here.
Yeah, that should be in your work file if you did review it, though. So when you get asked, just for future reference. That's all the questions I have on that report.
Okay.
Let's go to 242 Birdsley.
Okay.
You have a fairly new duplex, and you gave me two very old duplexes. Or, I'm sorry, not duplex, multifamilies. What about 191 Hamilton or 205 Hamilton? Why they're also fairly young multifamilies? Why were those not chosen instead of these, which are again, same area?
Do you happen to know what the sale dates are on those? I have a few items in the work file that I considered but did not include. The ones that, yeah. I do have for my, let's see, what comp did I have this as? For my second comp, I do have a similar age dwelling built in 2008 that was at the time what's the date on this? A recent sale within a month of the date of the appraisal. That was a 15-year-old two-family versus the subject being a 16-year-old two-family. And it is also probably chosen because it is really close to the subject as well. The bedroom counts were the same, the bathroom counts were the same. Overall, I found that to be the best available with regard to its age.
Yeah, I understand comp two. It's comp 1 and 3, and then you made no adjustment for age. I mean, these are much older. I'm shocked that there's no adjustment for age.
You know, typically the condition of these or the driving factor, the potential buyers, typically with a multifamily, are interested in, you know, the rent of what they can command in the market, and they're really not looking at the exact age. They're looking at the overall condition.
Did you have 191 or 205 Hamilton in your work file?
I'm in Bridgeport. No. I had 443 Wilma and 155 Huntington, but I did not have those other two that you mentioned.
Because these are fairly close, and they sold within the year, and they're relatively, you know, young age. So then on 71 Finch,
yeah,
it's just generally the same type of question. You know, I have 25 Raymond because you picked a age of 70 years, and at multifamilies, I can kind of see people are getting them for you know, the income, and maybe just the condition is going to be important to them. But on a home, most people are looking for a specific age, and you have a,
and
you know,
I know, and part of this is you know, a lender requirement to bracket certain line items, and unfortunately, we're left to you know, include those kinds of things. It can kind of look a little silly, but there wasn't at the time anything that I could find that could bracket the site size. It was this incredibly small site for the size of the house. And I actually do have all the sketches and everything here. It's just like a very long, narrow house. And it's typically, you're not going to find one of these over 3,000 square feet on such a small little lot in that situation. So that was part of my reason for including that, again, for lender requirements, that line item be bracketed.
I think that's a good reason to include it, but I would have included it as a comp 4 and probably used this other comp 25 Raymond. You know, like I said, in general, these reports I thought were pretty good. I think you probably could be a little better in explaining on these reports, but for future sake, you certainly need to make sure you have anything that's relatively close in your work file, because if you get questioned on these things, you should be able to at least tell me, yeah, I looked at 25 Raymond and I didn't choose this one because of whatever reason. You know, that's,
Was it 25 or was it 26? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
'Cause I had-
it's blurry here, so it could be 26. Yeah, it's 26.
Yeah, I do have it in the work file. It was a little bit smaller. And I believe when it came out on the, oh, I don't know why I kicked it out.
Bedroom count, bathroom count,
Mhm.
site size.
And also, I would say, you know, especially like in Darien and things like that, if you don't have like 3 really good comps, it really doesn't hurt to put the 4th comp in there. You know, many times I'm looking for a specific reason. Could be bedroom count. It could be something just to say,
It looks
look,
like because this
no.
was a 3-bedroom and I was, working with a 4-bedroom dwelling. And like I said, it was just a little bit smaller, 3 bedrooms, fewer bathrooms. It just didn't really do anything, in my opinion. And again, it was a.
Support for the price.
That's all the questions I have, Jerry. So if anybody else.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the commission have any questions for Ms. Parente? Okay. Ms. Parente, how long have you been appraising?
Well,
Tell me your history.
my current provisional was granted in August of 22. However, I do have an old expired provisional license that 2012 or 2013, and I was up against the education requirements to try to make it under the gun before the bachelor requirement was in. So I was 1 class short for qualifying for that, but I didn't make it in under, and I tried to extend it for a while. So I guess that was another about 5 years, 4 years that I held the provisional designation. And then just because I couldn't make it, I let it lapse. And then when they changed the education requirements again, I thought I'd better make a go at it before they changed their mind again.
I understand all too well. So you've been through a cycle or two with in more ways than one. Is there any type of assignment that you find more challenging than others?
Well, obviously the new construction one throws me through a loop. I haven't had a lot of experience with it because of the limited numbers that we are experiencing currently. But for the most part, I feel very comfortable with the residential appraisals.
Okay, thank you for your time. Any other questions by members of the commission? I don't see anyone with a raised hand or so forth, so hearing none, is there a motion to be made on the floor? Second call, a motion to be made on the floor. John, I see your lips moving, but you're on mute.
I make a motion that we accept Sarah Parente's work. We already accepted her experience log, so now it's her samples.
We're for her work. Okay. Is there a second? A second call for.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay. Shauna beat you to it, Jen. Okay. All right. Now discussion within the members of the commission on Ms. Parente's on the motion that we have before us.
Yeah, I guess I'll just finish up with exactly what I was saying. I would be, make sure you carry any comp that you could have and, have that in your work file. And don't be afraid to use more than 3 comps. But, just for future sake, to protect yourself.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments by members of the commission? Hearing and seeing none with raised hands and so forth, I then call the motion to a vote. Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Ms. Parente, congratulations.
Thank you.
You've gotten through there. Take a deep breath. Debbie will let you know, the next processes and so forth that goes forward. As a side note, I should have said this before because I didn't read the notes quick enough here. Anyone who sits in the chairman's chair cannot vote unless there was a tie. So if you were wanting my silence, 1, that's a procedural. 2, on the professional side, not many people would have done what you did. Many people would have thrown in the towel when the things change over and so forth. I
I would have.
applaud you. I
Thank
applaud
you.
you
Thought
immensely
about it.
for sticking to it. I know you thought about it. I'm glad you didn't. I wish you nothing but the very best of your career, but thank you for sticking to it. And we don't see that often. So I wish you
Thank
nothing but the best. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So now we go to Debbie. You will let her know the next processes and so forth after the meeting and everything that goes with it, correct?
Yes, Sarah, I'll send you an email.
Very good. Thank you. Now, number 4 under old business, instructor requirement for courses. Excuse me, appraiser / instructor requirement for courses. I open that up to discussion first with the members of the commission, and that will be with staff, and then the general public. Go ahead, anyone who would like to start off with members of the commission.
So I think this is me with the pitchfork here. And so I've been thinking about it because there was a public comment made a couple of meetings ago, I think, about this, or maybe it was last meeting. And I have a concern when we have a course that comes along and it doesn't have an instructor, the instructor is not a licensed appraiser. And the concern is, well, then who's there to answer appraisal questions? So in the past, we've gone back and asked the school, and they've come back with somebody assigned who is the appraiser, an experienced appraiser. And but then the question came up, okay, so what happens when we have seminars? And I think we're going to get to a seminar that's requesting approval but it has no AQB or IDEC approval coming up. And not everybody there is on the panel is a licensed appraiser, but everybody is talking about issues that are pertinent to appraising. So I guess my concern is I don't have an issue with when there's no no a real estate appraiser there to answer any questions when it's a seminar, because a seminar is really just someone talking. But when it's a course, it's actually something being taught, a topic being taught. And I really think there should be a licensed or certified appraiser uh, in that course to answer questions, whether it be, if it's an online course, somebody that they can, ask questions to and they can get back to them, or if it's an in-person, if there's just someone, even if they're, moderating and just sitting there, that they can say, hey, we'll research it and get back to you or whatever. I just think there needs to be, this is my opinion. And I don't think it needs to be with the seminars, but I think with the courses they do. So if it's a 2-hour seminar and there's no test involved, I don't have an issue. But if it's something that is a course that they're actually listing as a course that they want to get approval for, I really think there should be an appraiser. It doesn't have to be taught by the appraiser. It could be taught by somebody else, but I think it just needs an appraiser there to answer specific questions. How to if they're giving it, for example, if they're giving a talk about handling appraising going concern value. Okay, it could be an accountant talking about it. It could be an economist or something like that addressing a finance instructor. But I think there needs to be an appraiser there to answer questions on how do they address certain things within the report, etc. I'm not sure if that's a great example, but
Okay.
Okay, John, what about a class on drones? I'm going to bring that up again.
yeah, I think there should, if it's a seminar on drones.
No,
or
a course. What about a course?
if it's actually a course on drones, first of all, it's a course on how to use drones. What does that have to do with appraising? Unless there's someone there actually saying how you can use the drone with the photos within the appraisal, what's considered inappropriate, what's considered trespassing, what's appropriate to take. We have the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act that we have to follow as appraisers, which addresses confidential information and things like that that we've had to go through that seminar back in the I remember when it was in the 90s or 80s, whatever. But there's different things, and I think there needs to be an appraiser there on a, even if we're using that as an example, to say, what photos you can, what photos you can't. Can you get away with just using all photos? What about your comps? Can you use the drone for comps? What if you're doing a property as a going concern and you're trying to address the contributory value of furniture, fixture, and equipments, and you can't access the property. So I think there needs to be an appraiser there just to answer those questions and come up with options on how to handle it, whatever the question may be. I'm not, again, this is just discussion.
I know, but thank you. I'm glad you came back with that. So I appreciate it.
John, I just want to make clear. So you're just now, there seems to be a modification. Before I thought we were talking more on seminars on this topic, but have you modified your thought? It's now just the classes?
Yes, because, I realized that it would be a burden on the seminars because, so Jerry, the one you're familiar with that some of the others may not be is we used to have in the appraisal, Connecticut chapter of the Appraisal Institute, we used to have Dr. Deek, who was a professor, an economic professor for Fairfield University, come up once a year and give us an overview on the Connecticut economy and tie it into the national economy. Now, it was in a room full of appraisers, so there was somebody there. But if that doesn't matter. I think he's talking about the economy and factors as a seminar that we need to hear about. If there was a seminar on drones, on how to, use a drone, fly a drone, deal with a drone, and a seminar thing that appraisers were learning how, for appraisal purposes, and we approve that as continuing education, I don't think there needs to be an appraiser there. But if it's actually a course, an educational course, where they're trying to get something like that approved for, 7 hours or something like that, then I think there needs to be an appraiser there to be able to answer questions or get back to somebody so that nothing gets said that all of a sudden you have appraisers running off on a tangent saying, well, he said it, he or she said it, but the instructor's not an appraiser who said it. It's one thing if an appraiser says it, they're going to just be more experienced with understanding USPAP, or appraisal law, or Connecticut appraisal law, etc. Common methodologies, local practices, things like that. Bank regulations in terms of appraisals, all those type of things where I think somebody else may not be.
John, do we not already have that in place? Because I understand now the seminars are off the table. That's over to the left. On your point, we have to approve courses right here, an offering and so forth involved. Maybe I'm missing the point here that because seminars are one thing, courses are another. We approve the courses. We have that always ability to say, to send it back. We're not approving it until you can tell us who, what, and where on the appraisal side. Do we not, or am I missing? Or do you need something more enhanced? That's all I'm asking.
No, it was brought up. We actually, I love this conversation. Because we had, I don't want to mention the school, but we had a school. I'm going to give you an example. We had a school come down, and I think Deb would correct me, but it was they were talking about the cost approach, and it was being taught by someone who had experience in construction and things like that. And I'm recalling this from memory, so I hope I'm not being exact. But there was nobody there to talk about the appraisal itself, the approach. So we went back to them and asked them, and they came back with the qualifications of someone who's going to be in that class to teach that, to help answer those questions, and that satisfied our requirement. But then it came up, well, is that right? Do we have that right to do that? And that's why I think we're having this discussion, because I think if we make it a requirement of the schools, then we're not going to have to waste time going back and forth, with this, I think, because I think we had it a couple of times already. And it's only been recent, and maybe it's only been recent because in the past I wasn't really looking for it or paying attention for it, or we had somebody else who was really focusing on all the classes, and we were just dealing with the unique ones. So I think it's something that needs to be discussed, because I think Vicky was the one who brought up that said something about regulations. Do we have to change it in our regulations or something like that, that it has to be a requirement or not? So I'm not sure about that process.
Well, if you're
Okay.
asking that it has to, if you're asking, if you're stating that it has to be, you know, going forward, then it would have to be a requirement. But again, I think one, as I understood it, one of the concerns that was generated is the amount of money that costs to have that. I mean, I'm not, um, you know, making a position or stating a position one way or the other. I'm just saying, I know one of the concerns that was raised was the amount of cost that would be involved in making that requirement, but,
Um, other members of the commission, I'm going to open this up as you get my pattern here, you know, that John has put out on the floor here. Any thoughts from other members?
Mr. Chairman, I understand what John's saying, but is there a point where, like, also what John, you know, what John just said, could we do it case by case too, instead of making it a requirement on whenever we're looking at these courses, we make it case by case? Because if anything, I mean, whatever with these courses, if you add an appraiser there along with somebody else, it's going to cost these people even more money. So I'm also looking at it from, you know, like Vicky said, a money a money aspect of this too. You know, you guys pay out enough to have all these courses. So there's that part of me that says, can we go case by case? Or, you know, I understand, John, where you say, let's look at making it a requirement. But there's that part of me that says, can we do case by case? Because you guys pay out enough money to do all these courses all the time. You know, I see it. I mean, every month we're requiring, okay, everybody's asking course this, course that, course this. It costs money. So I'm just looking at, part of me is looking at it from a money money aspect of this.
Okay.
And I agree with what Norris just said. So, and I think the reason why this came up, because we were talking about, well, do we have the right to require a submitted course to have an appraiser on staff, to go back and ask them to add? And we, in our case with Deb, she did, and they volunteered and just did it. It wasn't really, you know, an argument or a debate. So the question is, you know, if I don't have a problem with taking it on a case by case basis, but what grounds do we have to actually do that? You know, I don't want someone to come back to and say, hey, you don't have that right. And then the next thing you know, we're in a,
Mhm.
you know, boiling pot of water.
Okay, Jen, Maria, and Shauna, you can remain silent on this topic, or I want to make sure you have an opportunity to say something. You're all on mute right now, or you want to get on later. I'm looking if does either one of the three want to say anything? I guess not. Oh,
I honestly can see it both ways. So it's a hard, I mean, I can understand Norris's side to it and the idea of it, does this make it fiscally harder or more challenging? But I also understand where it could be helpful and why we might want someone to be there. So I like the case by case basis, but is there any chance of anyone saying that that's not equitable or that everyone's not being treated the same? I don't, again, I could argue it both sides.
understand. Maria or Shauna?
No comments.
Maria, I just heard a little something. I'm sorry. I see your
Oh, no, I said
microphone.
no comments.
Oh, no comment. Okay, thank you. And Shauna? Guess
I'm
maybe
good.
Okay. Staff, I open it up for you folks with DCP. Go ahead. The floor is whoever may be. I see Debbie, Vicky. I don't know if Jason's on. You know, anyone who wants to make a comment from staff, please do. And then we'll go to general public in a moment. Go ahead.
I would just like to suggest perhaps, like with this drone course as an example. So if you didn't have an appraiser instructor with this course, would it be possible for questions to be submitted that could then be answered by an on-staff appraiser at these schools? Because I'm thinking if I go take a course on how to basically use a drone, and the, applications that would help me in the appraisal process, I'm trying to learn about using that device. And I think a use PAP would be a separate situation. You know what I mean? So I would be fine submitting a question that the instructor, who is not an appraiser, could then forward to the school, and have an appraiser actually get back to them answering that question. It's the only thing I have.
Okay. Anybody else from state of Connecticut would like to say anything on this topic? Hearing none. General public, is there any hands raised, Rachel, that I don't see, or anyone want to make a comment on this from the general public? Hearing none, I guess not. Okay. First of all, on a personal side of the fence here, John, I share your enthusiasm that this is good to have a discussion when you just open it up. It's good that we're having this discussion. And anytime open discussions are always beneficial here. It is something here that I had a strong feeling on, to not go down that road with seminars. To be candid with you, I thought that was going to be maybe a hurdle that was too much. That's just me on the seminars. Okay. I hadn't really thought much about the courses because I always thought we had already kind of addressed the courses. I would like to make a suggestion that this has been very good for public comment. The general public has had a time to say anything if they want. A staff, us as members of the commission, I think this is all very good. I like this. John, I would like to suggest here, and since you have been, you've brought this to the floor, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but you've brought it to the floor here, that we pick this up again and then put it to bed one way or the other. Because now there's been an angle here. I would suggest we do it in January, and I'm going to say why January, not December. One, December, as long as we don't get a snowstorm and all those other, or ice storm or something, we are meeting in person, if I am correct on that. And we do get a higher amount of public attendance in these virtual components here. I think it's one of those things that that would be best served in anyone who wants to speak, they can speak on this topic. And I think January would be the appropriate time. Therefore, as we've discussed that in the beginning, we began this back in early summer, if my memory serves me correctly. And there's been some modifications and different thoughts. And you said there was some public comment last month on it and so forth. This is all good. That's my opinion here. Others on the members of the commission may have a different opinion, and the floor is all yours. To voice that, Jerry, you're nuts. I am nuts, but on this topic.
So I'm okay with dealing with it in January, because there's another option, and the other option, I think that the reason why I'm bringing this up is, one, I think it's important, but two, I think, I don't know if it was Vicky or Debbie or someone, or maybe Norris brought up, do we have the right to do that? And so if between now and January, as an option, could Vicky just think about what we actually have a right to do and what we have a right not to do? I mean, if we, because one of the options might be, hey, we get a course and it doesn't have an instructor, and then, or maybe that Debbie goes out and we make it a recommended suggestion that every course have a licensed appraiser involved who can answer questions. And then we just make it a request. So it's not a mandatory thing, it's just a request. That's an option too.
Okay. So we're
That's
all
fair.
fine. We're all fine moving this to January. And I mean every members of the
I
commission.
guess one of the things I have to say is, if it was a real issue, wouldn't you have heard about it by now?
Why would
Wouldn't
they bring
people
it
say,
up?
every time I go to a course, I can't get a question answered? I mean, there's never an appraiser there. there's nobody who can, answer my question about XYZ. There needs to be I don't know, reconfiguration or recomposition or whatever of how the courses are scheduled. I mean, I don't know if you're creating a problem that doesn't exist. If there was an issue, I think that either the commission would have heard, the department would have heard, there would have been some feedback or some concern that was raised. I mean, this is not a industry that's, quiet. If they have an issue or a problem, they let you know. So I mean, I don't know. I can research it. I'm not opposed to that, but I don't want to make extra work for myself if I don't have to. I got enough already.
Yeah, well, it's only come up in the past with these couple of courses. That's the only thing, every other class that's come along and had somebody there teaching it that has been a qualified instructor involved in appraising. So it hasn't been an issue. So I can understand how no one's spec forward because it's only been a couple. And from so far just one school, I believe. So, but I'm fine. If everybody thinks I'm going off on a wild tangent here and not appropriate, just pull me back.
Well, we'll see what January brings us on it. Okay. So that's what it's been I think a worthwhile 15, 20 minutes that we have invested in this and we'll take it from there. Okay. All right. We're going to move to new business. And Debbie, you mentioned that, Miss Belt or Miss Lee wants to be in January, correct? From the
Correct.
notes.
Mhm.
Okay. The next on number 2 is Mr. Robert Nardella Jr., RCG applicant. Folks, as you know, Mr. Nardella will be speaking to you. Mr. Nardella works in the same office that I do, even though we don't work together. And as I've done in the past, I am going to recuse myself. I'm going to put my mic on silent, and I'm literally going to leave the room, okay, as I have done with anyone coming through with Cushman and Wakefield. So I am going to do that. And when this is done, then I will come back and members of the commission and staff do as you see fit. Okay. So camera's going off and well, I'll leave the camera on so you know I'm not here. And the mic is.
All right, you want me to jump in and take this? I went through the log just so you know, and I don't have any issues with the log. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept the log?
I'll make a motion to
I'll make a
accept the
motion
law.
to accept the.
All right, Shauna was first. Anybody want to second it? Jen?
Sure,
Jen,
I'll
you got the
second.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? All right, so congratulations.
Thank you.
But yeah, let me back up. Robert, do you want to state your name and your address for the business address for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Robert Nardella, Nardella, Jr. I work at Cushman and Wakefield, our office is at 107 Elm Street on the 8th floor in Stamford, Connecticut, 06901.
Is your supervisor here too?
He is not. He's not. No.
Okay.
I'd spoken to Debbie last week. I think we were gonna push the log till next month, possibly. So just a little background here. I'm still working through classwork right now, so I don't know if maybe I was a little too early with submitting my log, but I just wanted to update you guys with where I'm at and the current situation right now. I had come in front of you guys in May, I believe, for an extension to my license, which expires at the end of this month. Currently, I'm enrolled in Income 2, which I'm taking the test tomorrow through the Appraisal Institute in the New York City chapter. I've completed the classwork for the appraiser review elective, and I am going to be taking the test shortly. And I am unfortunately, I can't get into the next elective until that one's completed, but I am enrolled through McKissick. And I intend on starting that immediately once I complete the test for the appraisal review. And I am currently enrolled in the general report writing through Appraisal Institute online. which I'm currently taking right now as well.
So you're requesting an extension for how long?
So I just wanted to get a better idea of what the process is after submitting my log, and once we go through my reports, etc. I just want to have a better idea of the timing of obviously you guys all meet once a month, so once you request my reports, we go through it. How long generally does it take after that to, if I am approved, to sit for the test, etc.?
So you're saying you're gonna have all your classes done like within 4 months?
Yes, yes. Yeah, my goal right now is to get I'm taking them. I'm working all day, taking classes at night. I'm in classes right now, so my goal is to get them
Hold on.
done as.
Excuse
sorry.
me, I'm sorry, Mr. Nardelli. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Real quick, when you came back here before, didn't we give you a timetable on finishing up all this?
Correct.
Wasn't there some type
Yes.
of timetable? What was the timetable again?
It was by the end of this month.
So you want us to give you another 4 months?
Yes.
Well, it's
Yes.
gonna be more than that, Norris, because it's
or by
got,
the end of Q1,
because
which would be the end of March.
he's gonna need 4 months to take the test, and then you're gonna probably need at least 2 months to go through the experience credits. And then Deb, what, maybe another 2 months to take the test?
Well, it is difficult to get a test. I do have to say that, let me just pull up his stuff here. He was first issued, his initial RSP in March of 2017, and he's already received 3 6-month extensions, the last one being, May 8th, at the May 8th meeting this year.
But wasn't there a valid reason? There must have been a
Yes,
valid reason.
I had medical issues, correct? Yep.
So you're really gonna need about 8 more months.
Okay. I mean, my goal is to have my remaining classwork done as soon as possible. That's like all I'm doing right now is working all day and working on the classwork throughout the week and the weekends. So, I enjoy this business. I want to stay in this business. My goal is to get my certified general and work in the state of Connecticut and keep moving forward. And this is my priority as well. So, I mean, this is all I do. So,
Okay, Mr. Nardelli, hold on. Hey, John, hold on.
Go ahead.
What's our option? Debbie, what's our options with Mr. Nardelli?
Well, I mean, as long as you give him approve his extension, then that would be fine.
That'd be the only thing, extension. It's up to us.
Yeah,
if we want to
and
give him
like
an
at the
extension.
last meeting in May, part of his extension was he had to submit
Finish this up.
proof that he was signed up for the remaining course. I thought it was just one, which he did send me, proof that he had signed up for it. And I thought that it would be finished by now, but so it's up to the commission if they're going to approve a final extension.
So, let's back up 1 second, Mr. Nardelli. If we were gonna select some samples from your work log now, I wish your supervisor was here. Do you think we would have any issues with those reports?
no.
Okay. So, because one of the options I think we have here is just to give you a 6-month extension, not 8 months. And we go ahead and pick this, since we approved your log, we pick your samples now and we review those in January or December or whatever. and then we go from there. That would give you 4 months to complete the courses and 2 months to take the test.
Okay.
How many, let's review again. Debbie mentioned something. You said that you came here and Debbie thought you just had to take one more class. You just mentioned 3.
Yeah, so I had taken, when I met with you last time, I had taken Income 2, but I did not pass the exam. So I had taken the classwork, but did not pass. So that's why I'm currently taking it again right now. And then after that, I had one remaining certified general class, which was report writing, and then the electives as well.
So you have to take the electives.
But I finished the classwork for appraisal review elective, and I will be jumping into expert witness right after. I'm already enrolled through McKissick, so.
So you're enrolled in all your classes.
Yep.
You just have to pass the income test.
Income 2, I'm taking it tomorrow in New York City.
Taking the test or the class?
The test. I've been in the class the last 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Does anybody on the commission have any questions? Nobody? Nobody? Okay, so so one option here is I wish like I say, your supervisor's not in the building there.
He is not, no. Unfortunately, no.
Is there a way to get him on to get him online if we skip and go to the next couple of things and then come back to you within the next 10 minutes?
I can give him a call, yeah.
All right, so why don't we pause and have your supervisor come back on and then come back to this and then we'll move on. Can you can you do that over the next 10 minutes, see if you can get a hold of him and then we'll take it from there?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on to Jerry, you want to jump back in? Are you sleeping?
I'm just putting on the headsets. We're clear? We're done?
No, he's gonna pause to try to find his supervisor and try to log back in 10 minutes with the
Oh, okay.
supervisor. So I said we were gonna go ahead and finish up the other stuff and then come back to him at the end.
Fair enough. Okay. Will do. Then we will move to new business number 3, Connecticut Appraisal Law Module Revisions Planning. I don't know who is the main person for this topic. Is it Debbie? Is it Vicky? Is it whomever? The floor is open to whoever brought this on the agenda.
Well, I can speak to it as to what we perceive the plan to be. We are trying to we will be forming a committee, as we did last time, to try to go over what we want to be contained within the Connecticut law module. The intent is to have maybe our meetings in December, whatever day people think are appropriate. We generally had, I don't know if we had Fridays. I think we had Fridays in the past, but whatever day. And whoever is interested in doing that, that's fine. What I will do is send the old course to everyone to get comments, concerns about any questions. We did talk about, revamping it. There's a lot of new areas that we want to ask. We had some topics of discussion that will also be sent out. And as it stands right now, we just need a date and to, when we can start having our first meetings, but we're ready. We had to get the hearings and the audit out the way, and now we're ready to focus on this.
Okay. Vicky, in the past, we had members of the commission who wanted to volunteer
Yes.
as well as open public. We opened it up to the
Yes.
public, did we not?
That's correct. Yes, we did.
So we will do, I believe, the same this time, that any
Yes.
members of the commission would like to be involved with this, you're absolutely more than welcome. And I would also say any members, to help, the staff is already involved. Debbie and you are already, up to your knees into it here. If there's anybody else in the general public who would like to be involved, let Debbie know. I believe is the right process to go.
Yeah. That's correct.
Or they can say now, or, you're more than welcome is what I'm trying to say. This isn't a closed society, and therefore, anyone wants to look at their schedules, members of the commission, we can let Debbie and Vicky know, and then Vicky or Debbie want to send out 2 or 3 dates to let folks know, yeah, this is a tentative schedule. Will this work for people involved, and we move it forward? Is that a
Yes,
fair
no, that's fair.
game plan? Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is that anybody, if they have any topics they think should be or they want to have, I would ask that they send those to Debbie as well. I would ask for everything by November 30th. We'll send you the old course so you can see it in case you forgot it or you don't have access to it, to see, what was the course that was used in the past.
Okay.
Can I make
Excellent.
one comment? 2 things. Jerry,
Jackie has indicated that I see something that came in, and she's happy to be part of the panel if needed. Of course, we'd accept your interest. So add her to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just have a request, Vicky, that maybe this time if we have a set schedule of when we're going to meet, like if we're going to meet every Friday at a certain time, just would make it easier for those of us who have constantly evolving schedules. And then
We
the
did
second,
that. We will. We
Yeah, okay,
can.
the
We're proposing
the-
Friday.
that'd be fine, whatever. But the second thing was, I have it in my head that somehow we talked about it this time around. Is there a requirement now for us to have, since it's a state course, isn't there a graphics person or some other person assigned to us to help write the class so we don't have to do the graphics or anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so we have to do all that. All right. I didn't know if we were bound by that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Vicky and or Debbie on this? So if you have interest, let them know. And then, as Vicky has just said, at the end of the month, let any topics or concerns or whatever that to be placed in front of this committee, and yippee-yay, let's go, as they say. All right, great, thank you. All right, legal. Well, Deb or Vicky, I'm keeping you right. Oh, let's go, and you're
Okay.
next on the board here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I can say that the official decisions from our hearing last week will be issued on or before the next December 11th meeting. The person that is responsible for doing that had indicated to me that he believes he will have all of the decisions written for your signature, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
on or before the December 11th meeting. Other than
Fair
that,
enough.
we have a couple things in the works, if you will, for compliance meetings, but that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else. I did ask what was the status of upcoming compliance meetings, and we seem to have quite a few in the pike, if you will. But we have one as early as tomorrow, so we're moving right along with that. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Vicky concerning the legal matters just discussed? Hearing none, then we'll move into DCP investigations. I believe, Debbie, this is your venue, and the
Yes,
floor
sir.
is yours.
I have to report since the last meeting, there's been 12 cases closed. Majority of them are a result of the CE audit. Of those 12 cases closed, 4 disciplines were reported to the National Registry for Appraisers, unfortunately, and approximately 44 letters of caution were issued to appraisers for the grace period that was so kindly given for CE completed between February 1st and April 30th of 2024. I have 16 open cases, one of them being an AMC that should be resolved this week. And one is scheduled for the compliance meeting tomorrow, an appraiser, and then 14 suspected use PAP violations.
Okay.
And that's it.
Debbie,
me.
we have, remind me, how many total appraisers, including provisionals, resis, generals, that we have?
The last I looked, which was last week, I believe there there's approximately 1,224 thereabouts.
Okay, so we're not even a third of 1%. If there were 44 folks who didn't do their coursework during that time frame. So I would have thought it would have been a higher percentage. That I'm very pleased to hear that personally. Okay, it's I know that when we hear the number 44, that's large, but when I look in the whole, whole size of the pond, I am pleased. Any other comments by members of the commission or what have you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to dominate here. Okay, great. Thank you very much for all you're doing with that, Deb. We do appreciate it. I know it's not easy. That's an understatement. So therefore, we go into the course. Oh, I'm sorry, members of the commission. We were working with Mr. Nardella. We'll go through this and then you want him at the end. Is that correct? How you suspended it, or am I in error?
No, you're correct, because I'm not sure if he's back yet with his, he's not here yet, so he's trying to get to response.
Okay, so I'll just keep plowing here, so to speak. The next thing on the agenda is course approvals. All have AQB and IDEC approval and otherwise noted. And that begins at AAL 1296. And am I reading this correctly, folks? We're keeping right on going down to APR 365. Are there any, and then we have two after that, but are there any concerns, additions, subtractions that you want to ask questions on or we address? If I'm hearing none, then can I entertain a motion for the ones that have AQB and IDEC approval, which would be AAL 1296 on our agenda through and including APR 365.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, John has made the motion. Do I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jen is second. Discussion? Hearing no discussion. Ayes?
Aye.
Nays?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right, so that passes that portion. Now, we move over. There was no AQB or IDEC approvals. We have two of them before us. One is AAL 1306, Commercial and Residential Real Estate Trends with Industry Leaders. The provider is the Massachusetts Board of Real Estate out of Boston and looking for 3 hours. And then there's also AAL 1314, Appraising Restaurants by the Appraisal Institute, 7 hours, and it has a note here, IDEC only. So each one will be on its own merits here. So we'll start with what was first put, AAL 1306, the Commercial and Residential Real Estate Trends with Industry Leaders by the Mass Board of Real Estate. I open that up for questions, discussion, or what have you by anyone here.
I read through it. I have no issues with it. I make a motion that we accept AAL 1306 for 3 hours of education.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Norris is the second. Discussion? Hearing none. Bring to a vote. Ayes?
Aye.
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 Nays? Abstentions? So 3 hours has been granted to the Massachusetts Board of Real Estate for the commercial and residential real estate trends with industry leaders, which was on our agenda as AAL 1306. The next one on here was AAL 1314, Appraising Restaurants by the Appraisal Institute out of Chicago, 7 hours. It's open for discussion or motions.
I read through this one too, and I have no issues. I make a motion that we accept AAL 1314 for 7 hours of education.
We have a motion on the floor. Shauna has seconded it. Discussion? Hearing none. Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? So that passes as well. So those 7 hours by the Appraisal Institute of Chicago for appraising restaurants on our agenda as AAL 1314 has been approved. Okay. I don't mean to be cutting short because you had Mr. Nardella still home. We can still keep going unless you Mr.
Unfortunately,
Nardella is there.
I haven't been able to get in contact with my supervisor, so I can keep trying. I don't know how much time you guys have left, but I don't want to waste any of your time. That's for sure.
We have
All right,
another agenda item. We have one more agenda item. We can go through that and see if there's something, and then I'll hand this back over to you, John,
Okay.
or the remainder of the commission. Mr.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nardella, then we appreciate your patience. We're going to keep trying to finish up the agenda, and
Great.
then you will be the caboose of today here. Okay?
Okay. Thank you,
All right.
Jerry.
Thank you. All right. It says comments or concerns of any persons present today. Is there any other topic from the members of the commission, members of staff, or members of the general public that need to come before us today?
The only thing I was going to suggest is that we make a tickler, if we can, if we do that, Deb, to bring up the fair housing again in February of 2026 meeting, just to review the hours again, or revisit it.
You mean 25, John, or 26?
No, 26, because we're pretty much approving it, that we're pretty much approved it, that it's going to count for this
okay.
next cycle, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because the next cycle is not until 26, right? But all those hours are going to have to be in by January 31st of 26. So we've already approved all that for this next cycle. It's the cycle after that that we're going to have to, I think we should revisit, just to make sure we did the right thing, or if it needs any tweaking or anything like that. That's all.
Okay. All right. Any other topics?
Well, I'll just say that Jan Lineweaver was sworn in as CWL president this past week. So
Congratulations. Is that congratulations or condolences?
I'm not sure, Jerry. It could be either one depending on the day.
Well, let's think positively. Congratulations. And it's my understanding you have an 8-year term?
No, thank God. Two.
Okay. Well, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you.
Any other things before us? Okay, I'm just going to say we have the Thanksgiving holiday coming up here, and from myself and my family to you and yours and everybody out there, nothing but the very best. And happy Thanksgiving, as they say. My understanding is we are meeting in person unless an act of nature like snow. We are in Hartford in person in December. Am I correct? We are all on the same page on that? Yeah,
Yes.
okay, great. I then will, I think, step aside because, or John, because now we have Mr. Nardella. Is there anything else to, Mr. Nardella, Robert, who is your sponsor? Is he with us?
I don't think so. Robert Nardella Senior, I believe, is his sponsor.
Okay, all right, so
No, my
you
my
can't,
sponsor is Eric Michelle.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, you're
okay.
right. Eric
So
Michelle.
you haven't been able to reach him?
Unfortunately, I've been messaging him, calling him. Unfortunately, I have not been able to reach him.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to
I
hold on
apologize.
before you say
I didn't-
anything. Before you say anything more, again, folks, I'm recusing myself. So I will be dropping off as this is the last component here. Then you can close up the meeting. Correct? There's nothing else going to occur. So,
Correct.
okay. All right. Then I'm leaving. Everyone, happy Thanksgiving. Take care.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Bye.
Jerry.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jerry.
Okay, Mr. Nardelli. So the way I'm seeing this is we have two issues. The simplest one is, do we select your experience work now, samples now, to speed up the process? And I want to hear what the other commission members saying, but the reason why I want your supervisor here is I wanted to find out if he thought, he or she, I guess it's Eric, thought you were ready yet. And, since you haven't taken all your classes, it's a concern. And then the second issue is, do we give you an extension or not? So I just want to go back to the commission members to see if anybody has any more comments or somebody want to make a motion or something like that right now.
Mr. Chairman, when is it up?
It's up the end of the month, right, Deb?
Yeah, November 30th.
November 30th. Be perfectly honest, I wouldn't want to deal with this unless his sponsor is with us. Because this has been going on for me, this has been going on too long. And we need to finish this up with Mr. Nardelli, and let's move on from this. So for me, I'd rather have a sponsor here. If you want to give him, I don't know what we can do, give him an extra, I don't know, but let's take care of this and let's finish this off.
All right, I just want to throw in there that I agree with you, but Mr. Natalie did have a medical issue, and in the past we've granted people issues with extensions with medical issues.
And I understand that completely, but this has been going on a little bit. We need a finality to this. So if you want to give them extra, fine, but I want a game plan from you and your sponsor to finish this off. So if you guys, whatever the commission wants to do on this, that's fine, but let's move on and bring your sponsor in here. So everybody is in sync on this.
Okay.
So I agree with Norris. I think we just wait till next month and have his sponsor and him show up, and we'll decide that.
All right, the only issue I have with that is, Deb, if that means he's expired. So if we wait till December, he's officially expired. Now he's got to kind of start over. So I think we need to address this now. And my suggestion is that we give him a 6-month extension, but require him to come in as a contingency of that 6-month extension, require him to come in December with his supervisor. And I can pick samples of his work to bring, provided that as another contingency, that his sponsor, his supervisor is, is ready to, it says you're ready to submit that work, but you have to come in with a game plan in December of the timelines and everything, submit those to Debbie of what you're going to do. So that's my suggestion, but I'm chairing the meeting, so I can't make that motion.
What happens if his license expires, Deb? He just can't work until.
Correct.
Right? There's no
But doesn't he have to
penalty.
start
If on
over?
December 11th, if on December 11th we give him an extension, just means he wouldn't be able to work from December 1st to December 11th, right? Is there any other things that would happen? Does he have? There's no other extra fees or anything like that, right?
Well, I mean, there is an extra fee to reinstate, yes.
How much is that fee?
I'm not sure offhand. I can send that to you.
Hey Deb, can we give him an extra month? Then what will we come up with the game plan next month? Can we give him a month? So December 30th. Yes or no?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Guys, I'd feel more comfortable December 11th when he comes in. We put a game plan together. That's final. Do it for an extra month. Let him get processed for an extra month. Is everybody good with this?
I'm good with that.
I am.
All right.
All right. So is that a motion? Are you putting a motion on the table, Norris, to extend him for 1 month?
Extend him for 1 month, and we'll see you, Mr. Nardelli. We'll see you to come December 12th.
11th.
With a game plan.
11th. Thank you.
With a game plan.
Okay.
Yep.
Somebody want to second that motion?
I will.
I'll second.
All right, Shauna got it first. Any discussion?
Did you indicate the requirement that the supervisor be present at that December meeting?
All right, let's revise that motion.
I think,
Come
I
on.
think, Doris.
You said game plan.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
So you're gonna have your supervisor here, Robert?
Yes, yep.
All right. All right, that motion stands. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Okay, we're good. All right, Robert, you
Thank
got
you,
it?
everyone. Thank
All
you.
right.
I'll see you next month.
Okay. Before we close the meeting, is there anything else? Jerry already went over that, so we're all good. Somebody want to make a motion to end the meeting? With a happy Thanksgiving?
I'll make a motion. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Maria,
And
second.
good luck on your exam tomorrow, sir.
All in favor? Aye.
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 I will be in Belgium celebrating Thanksgiving with a chicken because they don't sell turkeys over there.
Oh.
So,
Enjoy.
Have a great
Enjoy.
thank you. All right, guys. Thank you,
All right,
everybody.
Take
bye.
care.
Enjoy, be
everyone.
safe.
All right,
All right.
bye-bye.
Bye.